He was a retired assassin living a happy life with his wife.
Weird red gumboots.
But one day a sudden phone call changed his fate, forcing him to carry out the impossible mission on that particular day, but his cleverest plan will actually shock you. Welcome back to Paramount Recaps. I don't have many subscribers, but your single comment is a ray of hope to motivate me. The movie kicks off in 1980, with mercenaries Danny, Bryce, and Hunter hanging out in Mexico, waiting to take down a target. They're chilling and chatting while keeping an eye out. Meanwhile, we meet David and Meyer, two other guys from their crew. They spot their target rolling up with a heavy security detail, tons of guards and cops in tow. As planned, they blow up one of the cars in the convoy, hoping to stir things up. With chaos unfolding, they position themselves and start unloading bullets on the vehicles. They zero in on the car carrying the target and open fire while the driver desperately tries to speed off. Danny gets close to the car, yanks open the door, and takes out the target. But right after pulling the trigger, he notices the man's daughter sitting next to him, and guilt hits him hard. He's not into killing people in front of their kids. Distracted, Danny gets shot in the arm by a cop. Hunter steps in, takes out the cop, and helps Danny. Davis shows up with a getaway car, and they all pile in. The whole ordeal messes with Danny's head, and he decides he's done with the mercenary life, opting for a quieter life back in Australia. Fast forward some time, Danny gets a letter with Hunter's picture inside. Turns out, Hunter's been captured by a guy known as the Agent and is being held in Oman. Without hesitation, Danny heads to Oman to rescue his friend. When he meets the Agent, the story unfolds. Hunter was hired for a $6 million job, but couldn't finish it, and now he's in deep trouble. Sheikh Amr, a powerful figure in Oman, has Hunter locked up because he didn't kill 3 targets. The Agent lays it out. If Danny doesn't complete the mission, Hunter's a goner. Sheikh Amr, who used to rule a small area, wants revenge on 3 ex-SAS officers, Stephen Harris, whereKorean, and Simon McCann, because they were responsible for killing his 3 sons during the Dhofar rebellion. The Sheikh is dying, and this is his final wish. He tells Danny he needs video proof of the officers admitting they killed his sons, and then Danny's supposed to take them out, making it look like accidents. If he pulls it off, he'll get the $6 million, and more importantly, save Hunter's life. Danny agrees and meets up with Hunter, who's overjoyed to see him. They even attempt to escape, but get caught. The Sheik's 4th son shows up, taunting them, saying they'll never break free. Frustrated, Danny confronts the Agent, accusing him of setting Hunter up to fail. The Agent denies it, saying it's out of his hands. Danny pushes on, determined to complete the mission. Danny heads back to get help from Davis and Meyer. They're willing to assist for a cut of the money, but Danny makes it clear he's only doing this for Hunter, not the cash. Their first target? Stephen Harris. They discover Harris is still in Oman, so Danny sneaks into his house one night. Knowing the death needs to look accidental, he scouts the place and decides to make it seem like Harris slipped and hit his head in the bathroom. Danny even breaks off a piece of tile to use as part of his plan. Meanwhile, Danny sends Davis to England to dig up info on the other 2 targets. Davis hits up a pub known to attract ex-military types, asking around about SAS guys who might have been stationed in. Word of this gets back to a secret society called the Featherman, a group of ex-operatives who protect their own. Spike Logan, the head of the group, is notified and shown a photo of Davis. Spike reports to his bosses, warning that someone's tracking down the SAS officers, and he's pretty sure they're planning to kill them. His bosses give him the green light to handle the situation however he sees fit. Davis, after gathering intel, returns to Oman, and the group begins planning Harris's death. Danny, using the tile he snagged earlier, fashions it into a makeshift weapon. The plan is to make Harris's death look like a freak bathroom accident, with the tile being the key to making it believe. As they're going over the details, they notice a guy snapping pictures of them. Turns out someone from England has been tailing Davis. Danny spots the photographer and chases him, but the guy escapes by diving into a tunnel. Undeterred, Danny and his crew manage to gain access to Harris's house by posing as documentary filmmakers. Once inside, they put a gun to Harris's head and force him to confess on camera that he killed the Sheikh's sons. After getting the confession, they drag him to the bathroom, ready to stage the accident. Harris's girlfriend shows up at the door just as things are heating up. While Danny and Meyer are distracted by the knock, Harris tries to make a break for it, which forces Meyer to shoot him. Word gets back to the Sheikh that one of the targets is dead, and his son rushes to tell Hunter the good news, adding that Danny is already on his way to take out the second target. Meanwhile, Spike learns about Harris's death and becomes more convinced that someone is hunting down the SAS officers. He reports back to his bosses, letting them know they need to stay sharp. Davis tells Danny that they've tracked down the second target, Warwick, who's in a hospital in Australia. As Danny scopes out the hospital, trying to figure out his next move, Spike is sitting in his car, keeping tabs on the situation. Spike spots Danny and quickly realizes he's the hitman. He starts tailing Danny, but Danny catches on and leads Spike on a wild chase through the city. Eventually, Danny loses him and heads back to the hospital. Spike isn't far behind, though, and the two of them end up fighting it out. The brawl drags on, but Danny gets the upper hand. He triggers the hospital's emergency alarm and uses the distraction to slip away. Afterward, he reunites with his team, letting them know that a SAS officer is on their trail. Despite this, they all agree to stick to the plan. That night, Warwick will be at a military camp, and Danny, disguised as a soldier, infiltrates the camp. He spikes Craig's coffee, follows him during a march, and forces him to confess before the drugs kick in, causing him to go into shock and die of hypothermia. With the feathermen now hot on their trail, Danny switches up his approach for the third target, Simon McCann, who's now working as a mercenary. They come up with a plan to lure McCann out of his house by staging a fake job interview, then crashing a remote-controlled truck into his car. With Jake, a rookie on their team, helping out, Meyer manages to kill McCann. However, Logan and his men had been watching over McCann. A gunfight breaks out, and in the chaos, Meyer is accidentally killed while Logan is aiming for Jake. Devastated, Danny tells Davies to go underground, and they part ways. Davies hides out in a hotel and calls a girl, but Spike's men track him down. In a desperate attempt to flee, Davies is fatally hit by a truck. Danny returns to Oman and hands over the last confession to the Sheik, though it's fake. Hunter is released, and Danny heads back to Australia, reuniting with. However, the agent contacts him again, telling him there's still one last person involved in the Sheik's son's murders, a man named Ranulph Fiennes, who's about to publish a book about his time in the SAS. Danny sends into France so Hunter can keep her safe, while he heads off to confront the Sheik's son. He warns him not to underestimate him, and the Sheik's son admits that Harris was actually innocent. Hunter later meets up with Danny, offering to help finish the job, but Danny refuses, insisting that Hunter should focus on his family. Hunter agrees and goes to Paris to protect Anne. Meanwhile, Spike tracks Danny down through the agent and sends a team to protect Fiennes. But Jake steps in, distracting them long enough for Danny to shoot Fiennes, though he only wounds him. Danny takes photos to make it look like Fiennes is dead. Logan captures Danny and takes him to an abandoned warehouse, but a government agent suddenly shows up, revealing that the British government has been behind everything because of the Sheik's valuable oil reserves. A chaotic three-way fight breaks out, with Danny managing to escape while Logan kills the government agent. The agent, thinking Danny is dead, sets his sights on and planning to kill her too. But Hunter saves the day, taking out the agent and his men. Danny and Hunter then head to Oman to hand over the fake photos to the Sheik. However, Spike gets there first, exposes the photos as fake, kills the Sheik. The Sheik's son doesn't seem to care and still pays Spike. As Spike is leaving, Hunter and Danny chase after, along with the Sheik's men. After taking care of the Sheik's guys, they confront Spike on a desert road. Hunter grabs some of the money to cover his expenses and to help his family. They leave the rest with Spike, telling him he'll need it to start over after killing the government agent and going against the feathermen and the British government. Danny makes it clear that he's done with this life, leaving Spike to figure out his next steps. With the job finally over, Danny heads back to Anne,